The void of space was silent, endless, and cold. Yet through that dark sea moved a single human ship, Odyssey 7. It was a long silver vessel carrying 30 crew members, all with one mission: to explore the very border of human space. For centuries, the galaxy had been mapped and studied, but one place was always left blank. Every alien race, every explorer, every map, all stopped at the same mysterious point. Beyond that, there was nothing, not even light. That blank region was called the Edge. No one knew why it existed, and no one had ever come back to tell the story. But humans were different. They always wanted to know why. That's why Captain Mira Hale had volunteered to lead this mission, to find out what was waiting at the edge of the universe. For 6 weeks, Odyssey 7 traveled through the outer rim of human space. The crew was tired but excited. The stars around them grew fewer and colder. Their communication with Earth became weaker every day. But then something unexpected happened. At 0300 hours, a faint signal appeared on the radar. It was soft, broken, repeating again and again, like a voice lost in static. The communication officer, Lieutenant Harper, adjusted the signal and froze. "Captain, you should hear this." Mira leaned closer to the speaker. Through the noise, a deep voice whispered in an unknown language, and then clear words followed. "Turn back, or the stars will vanish." The crew stared at each other. The message repeated again and again every 10 seconds. The coordinates of the signal matched exactly with the position of the edge. Lieutenant Harper swallowed hard. "It's coming from the void itself." Captain Mira looked out the main window. Ahead, the stars looked strange, scattered like broken glass, fading as if someone had brushed them away. "Plot a course," she said calmly. "We're going in." The engines roared softly, and Odyssey 7 began to move forward. The hum of machinery filled the silent corridors. Some crew members whispered prayers. Others tried to stay busy. Nobody wanted to admit they were scared. As the ship crossed the last known boundary of human space, something changed. The sensors started to blink with errors. Gravity readings became unstable. The stars ahead started to dim one by one until there was only darkness. It was as if light itself refused to exist there. Ensign Riel whispered, "It's like the universe ends here." Mira didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the darkness. The crew waited for her order, but the captain simply said, "Keep going." Minutes passed. The deeper they went, the quieter everything became. Even the sound of the ship's engines felt distant. The air felt heavier, colder. Then the whispers started. At first, they thought it was radio interference. Soft, broken voices coming through the comms. But soon it was clear. The voices were calling their names. Riel heard his sister's voice, who had died years ago. Harper heard his mother. Each one of them heard something personal, something only they could understand. Panic spread quietly. "Captain, we're picking up unknown energy waves," Harper reported, trying to hide the tremor in his voice. "I don't think this is natural." Mira stood straight, calm but pale. "Record everything. We came to find answers, not turn back at shadows." To test the darkness, they sent out a small drone, Scout 3. It was equipped with lights, sensors, and a live camera feed. Everyone gathered around the monitor as the drone flew ahead. Its light illuminated the black void for a moment, showing only empty space. Then, without warning, the feed went dead. No explosion, no sound, just instant silence. "Signal lost," Harper said softly. "Completely gone," Mira frowned. "Send another." They sent Scout 4, but the same thing happened. The moment it crossed a certain point, it vanished. No light, no energy trace, just nothing. "It's like they're being erased," Riel whispered. No one replied. The feeling of dread filled the room. They all knew something was wrong with this place. Hours later, the ship's sensors detected metallic objects ahead. Mira ordered the ship to slow down. The navigation lights flickered, revealing shapes in the distance, dozens of them. As they got closer, the horror became clear. They weren't asteroids. They were ships, alien ships. Hundreds of them. Some were ancient, others modern. They floated lifelessly, perfectly still, as if frozen in time. No movement, no power, just quiet, cold death. Riel's voice broke the silence. "How many civilizations tried to cross this place?" Mira's face was pale but steady. "Too many." They decided to scan one of the closest ships. It belonged to a race known as the Vorex, a powerful alien species that disappeared more than 200 years ago. The scan found no bodies, no signs of battle, just a message burned into the metal hull. Harper translated it slowly. We tried to cross. The universe itself said no. The crew stared at the screen, unable to speak. Suddenly, the lights in the control room flickered. A deep vibration shook the ship. Instruments started to fail one by one. Captain, something's coming from the dark zone, Harper shouted. The radar showed a massive shadow, moving slowly toward them. It was too large to be a ship, but its shape was unclear. No light reflected from it. It absorbed everything. Mira gripped the console. Power up shields. Maintain position. The shadow kept approaching until it stopped just beyond their lights. Then the voices returned. Louder, clearer, echoing inside their minds instead of through speakers. Riel covered his ears and screamed, It's in my head! Mira tried to stay calm. What are you? She asked into the darkness, no reply. Only a deep, vibrating pulse that made every light on the ship flicker. Then as suddenly as it appeared, the shadow vanished. The stars flickered faintly again in the distance, only for a second, before going dark once more. Mira looked at her trembling crew. This place, it's alive, she whispered, and it doesn't want us here. The Odyssey 7 floated in silence at the edge of the universe. No one spoke. Somewhere out in that darkness, something was watching them, something ancient, something powerful. And though every instinct told them to turn back, Captain Mira gave her next command softly but firmly. Prepare for deeper entry. We're not done yet. The engines hummed and the ship turned toward the endless black. No stars, no guide, only darkness ahead. Humanity had arrived at the edge of its own courage and was about to find out what waited beyond the universe itself. You said? The darkness around Odyssey 7 was deeper than anything the crew had ever seen. It wasn't just the absence of light. It was as if reality itself had stopped beyond this point. No stars, no planets, no radiation. Even the sensors designed to read the smallest traces of matter found nothing. It was an empty hole carved into existence. Captain Mira stood at the command deck, her eyes fixed on the endless void ahead. Her calm voice cut through the silence. Increase scan range by 50%. Lieutenant Harper adjusted the controls, but the readings only came back empty again. Captain, the scanners are blind. It's like the space ahead isn't real. Ensign Riel rubbed his hands together nervously. Maybe it's not space at all. Maybe it's something else. No one replied. The ship drifted slowly forward, engines whispering against the vacuum. Behind them, the galaxy still shimmered faintly, a wall of light and color separating safety from the unknown. But ahead, the blackness remained absolute. Then it happened. One by one, the stars behind them began to fade. Harper noticed first. Captain, our rear view. Mira turned toward the main screen. The bright field of stars that had filled the sky moments ago was shrinking. The nearest constellations dimmed, their light flickering like dying candles, then vanishing completely. Are we losing power? Riel asked. No, Harper said, voice trembling. The stars are disappearing. The entire sky. It's going dark. A chill spread through the ship. For a moment, everyone just stared at the screen, unable to process what they were seeing. Space itself was fading. Mira clenched her jaw. Reverse engines. Let's see if it follows. The engines fired, pushing Odyssey 7 backward. But even as they moved, the darkness followed. The more they retreated, the more the stars behind them went out. It was like a curtain swallowing the universe one piece at a time. Riel's voice broke the silence. Captain, we can't escape it. Mira turned back to the view ahead. Then we go forward. The crew looked at her in shock, but no one argued. Humanity had always moved forward, no matter the cost. The ship pushed deeper into the void. Soon they were surrounded by complete blackness. No light, no reflection, not even the faint glow of their own running lights. It was as if the universe had erased their existence. Inside the ship, the temperature dropped. Frost formed along the windows. Static filled the comms. Then came the whisper again. Turn back. This time it was clear. A single voice, deep and hollow, echoed through every corridor. Harper spun his chair. That came through every channel at once. It bypassed our systems. Riel whispered. It's inside the ship. Before Mira could respond, the lights flickered. The emergency alarms activated, but even their sound was distant, almost muted. The ship began to tremble. A deep vibration that came not from the engines, but from the space around them. Power surge, Harper shouted. Something's draining the core. Stabilize it, Mira ordered. I'm trying. It's like the energy is being Pulled out of reality. The lights went out. For 3 terrifying seconds, the entire ship was in total darkness. The crew could only hear their own breathing and the faint hum of the reactor struggling to stay alive. Then, just as suddenly, the lights returned. But something was wrong. The viewing window showed movement. Shapes, faint, glowing outlines, were drifting around the ship. They looked like shadows made of light, shifting, changing form. Some appeared humanoid, others completely alien. They floated silently, their faces, if they had faces, turned toward the Odyssey 7. Riel's voice shook. "What are those things?" No one answered. Mira slowly approached the window, her reflection mixing with the glowing forms outside. "They're not alive. They're echoes." "Echoes?" Harper asked. She nodded. "Memories. Traces of what was once here." As she spoke, one of the glowing shapes passed directly through the ship's hull and into the control room. It moved like a mist of light, twisting through the air, circling the crew. When it brushed past Harper's shoulder, the temperature around him dropped instantly. His breath fogged. "It's inside the ship," he gasped. The form stopped beside him and spoke in a whispering, overlapping voice, hundreds of tones at once. "You should not be here." The crew froze. Mira took a step forward. "What is this place? Why can't we see the stars?" The glowing figure turned toward her. For a moment it looked almost human. Then its shape began to stretch and blur. "The universe ends here," it said. "Go back before it ends with you." Before Mira could speak again, the figure dissolved into a cloud of light and vanished. The crew stood in silence, the sound of their hearts echoing through the quiet ship. Riel swallowed hard. "Captain, permission to—" "Denied," Mira said firmly. "We keep going. But what if it's right? What if we really reach the end?" Mira's voice was low. "Then I'll be the first to see what's beyond it." The engines roared to life once more. The ship accelerated forward, deeper into the dark zone. This time the blackness seemed to react, swirling around them like a living fog. Suddenly, a new reading appeared on the sensors. Harper frowned. "There's something massive ahead, stationary, no life signs. Metallic structure, size, unknown, and put it on screen." At first nothing appeared. Then slowly a faint outline emerged. A gigantic structure floating in the void. It was shaped like a ring, miles wide, rotating slowly, covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly. Mira whispered, "It's artificial." The crew stared in awe. The structure pulsed once as if it were alive. The moment it did, all systems on Odyssey 7 went dead. The engines stopped. The lights flickered out. Total silence filled the ship. Then, out of the darkness beyond the ring, something opened its eyes. 2 massive lights, brighter than suns, stared directly at them. Harper's voice was barely a whisper. "Captain, something's awake." Mira didn't move. Her voice was calm but cold. "Ready all systems. If the universe has an end, we just found who's guarding it." Outside, the 2 lights blinked once, and space itself seemed to shatter like glass. The Odyssey 7 trembled as waves of invisible energy hit the hull. The crew screamed as gravity twisted. The stars that had vanished suddenly flared back into view, but distorted, bent like reflections in broken water. Mira held on to her seat as alarms blared. "Hold on, don't lose control." Through the chaos, one final message appeared on the ship's display, written in their own system, though no one had typed it. "You crossed the border. Now you belong to the void." And just like that, everything went dark again. When the lights returned, the crew found themselves floating near the same spot. But something had changed. Outside the window, new stars glowed faintly in patterns no one recognized. They weren't in known space anymore. Captain Mira stared out into the unknown and whispered, "Welcome to the other side." When Odyssey 7 finally regained control, silence filled every corner of the ship. The systems flickered back to life one by one. Screens blinked, lights glowed weakly, and the familiar hum of power returned. But what they saw outside made everyone forget to breathe. There were stars again. But they were wrong. Their light was cold, white, and still. They didn't twinkle, didn't move, didn't even seem alive. It was as if the stars themselves had frozen in time. Around them drifted hundreds, maybe thousands of ships. Alien ships, human ships, machines of all sizes and ages. A silent graveyard stretched as far as their scanners could reach. Captain Mira stared through the viewport. "My God, how many are there?" Lieutenant Harper checked the readings. Too many to count, Captain. These signals, some are over 1,000 years old. These ships belong to different species, races that have never even met each other. Ensign Riel's face was pale. It's like they were all drawn here. To this place, Mira nodded slowly. Or trapped. The Odyssey 7 drifted through the graveyard of lost fleets. The ships around them floated silently, their hulls scarred and broken, some torn open like paper, others perfectly intact but lifeless. It was beautiful and horrifying at the same time. The darkness between the ships felt thick, heavy, cold as if watching them. Captain, Harper said quietly, I think some of these ships, they're from Earth's early expansion era. I'm reading old Terran signatures. Mira's eyes narrowed. That's impossible. Those ships were lost 200 years ago. Exactly, Harper replied. And yet here they are. Riel zoomed in on one of the closer wrecks, a large cruiser marked with faded symbols. The name Orion's Promise was barely visible across its side. It had disappeared before Mira was even born. We're not the first humans to reach this place, she whispered. Mira ordered a drone to be sent out for closer inspection. The small machine glided through the cold void, its light sweeping across dead hulls and shattered antennas. The images it sent back were unsettling. Open doors leading to nowhere, corridors filled with floating debris and walls covered with strange burn marks. Then, inside the Orion's Promise, the drone found something unexpected. A body. A perfectly preserved human body, floating weightless, eyes open, face frozen in calm expression. There was no decay, no damage. It looked as if he had just fallen asleep, Captain. Harper's voice was barely a whisper. He looks alive. Mira stared at the screen, her voice steady but cold. He's not. No one could survive this long. The drone moved closer, focusing on the body's chest, and then to everyone's horror, the man's eyes blinked. Jesus, Riel shouted, stepping back from the monitor. The drone's feed suddenly filled with static and the connection cut. Bring it back, Mira ordered. I can't, Harper said. It's gone. Signal lost. For a moment, no one spoke. The silence in the control room felt suffocating. Then a faint knock echoed through the ship. 1, 2, 3. Coming from the outer hull. Everyone froze. Riel's voice shook. Did anyone just another knock? This time louder. Mira turned to the comms officer. External cameras. The screen flickered on, showing the empty void, until a faint shadow moved across the glass of the viewport. Something was outside the ship, drifting close, watching them. Magnify, Mira said. The image sharpened. A figure floated in the dark, human in shape, wearing an old Terran suit from the early expansion era. His faceplate was cracked, but a faint light glowed from inside his helmet. His eyes stared straight into the camera. Harper whispered. It's the man from the Orion's Promise. The figure raised his hand slowly and pressed it against the glass, as if trying to reach them. Mira stepped forward, unflinching. Open a channel. Harper hesitated. Captain, we don't know what that is. Do it, she said. Static filled the room, then a voice came through, soft, slow, echoing as if from far away. You shouldn't be here, Mira spoke calmly. Who are you? The figure tilted its head. A memory. A warning. You must turn back before it wakes. What will wake? No answer. The signal faded and the figure drifted away, disappearing into the sea of dead ships. Riel exhaled shakily. Captain, I think we should leave now. Mira didn't respond. Her eyes stayed on the darkness ahead. No, we came for the truth. And I'm not leaving until I know what happened here. She ordered the ship to move deeper into the graveyard. The deeper they went, the stranger everything became. Some ships were twisted into impossible shapes like metal melted and frozen mid-motion. Others were half-transparent, flickering between reality and nothingness. The readings on the ship's console went wild. Time readings fluctuated. Gravity readings spiked and dropped. Harper slammed his hand on the console. The sensors are going crazy, Captain. We're inside some kind of temporal field. Riel looked terrified. Time isn't working right here. Outside, flashes of light began to appear between the ships. Brief bursts like lightning, but silent. And in those flashes, the crew saw shadows moving. Huge, slow, shapeless things drifting among the wrecks. Harper turned to Mira. Captain, those aren't ships. They're alive. Before Mira could answer, a deep rumble shook the ship. The stars flickered again. The wrecks around them began to move. turning slowly as if pulled by an unseen force, all facing the same direction. "Captain?" Riel's voice trembled. "They're all turning toward us," Mira's heart pounded. "No, not toward us." She turned her gaze to the black horizon ahead. Toward that, the darkness ahead began to swirl, like a storm forming in deep space. A shape started to emerge from the center, massive and formless. It wasn't a ship or a creature. It was something else entirely. The crew felt it before they saw it, a pressure in their minds, a whisper that crawled through their thoughts. Harper clutched his head. "It's talking. I can hear it in my head." Mira clenched her fists. "Stay focused." The voice grew louder, echoing through the metal walls like thunder. "You should not have come here. The border must remain closed." Mira stepped forward, staring into the forming storm. "Who are you?" The voice answered deeper now, shaking the ship. "The Guardian. The end in the beginning." The darkness exploded outward, throwing the Odyssey 7 into chaos. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the ship spun violently. Through the chaos, Mira's voice shouted over the noise, "Stabilize the ship. Don't lose control." But it was too late. The storm swallowed them whole. The last thing they saw before everything went black was the graveyard of ships turning, one by one, to face the same direction, toward the living shadow that called itself the Guardian. Darkness, that was all that remained when the storm ended. The Odyssey 7 floated silently, motionless, surrounded by an eerie stillness. Every system had gone offline. The ship's lights flickered weakly, casting long shadows across the control deck. For a moment, no one spoke. No one even breathed loudly. Then the low hum of the reactor began to rise again, like the ship itself taking a shaky breath after nearly dying. "Systems rebooting," Harper said softly, his voice breaking the silence. "Navigation offline, communication offline, shields at 30%. Mira looked around at her crew. Their faces were pale, eyes wide, each one silently questioning what they had just witnessed. The storm hadn't just been energy. It felt alive, intelligent, watching them. Riel, still trembling, spoke first. "Was that the Guardian?" No one answered. The name itself felt heavy, like speaking it might wake something that shouldn't be disturbed. Mira moved to the forward viewport. Outside, the graveyard of ships was gone. The swirling void was gone. Instead, the Odyssey 7 now drifted in what looked like an endless sea of light and shadow, a vast, glowing horizon stretching in every direction. Floating within it were fragments of ships, rocks, and debris that seemed to hang motionless, as if frozen between moments of time. Harper checked the readings again. "Captain, this isn't normal space. Our instruments are detecting no gravity, no time flow, and no matter beyond the ship. It's like we're sitting between dimensions." "Between?" Mira repeated softly. "Between what?" Before anyone could reply, a deep vibration rolled through the ship. The walls groaned, metal strained, and the lights dimmed. Every crew member froze. It was the same sound, the same feeling they had sensed before the storm hit. Then came the voice. It didn't come through the speakers or the comms. It came through their minds, a soundless, wordless echo that pressed against their thoughts. Each person heard it differently, but the message was the same. "You have crossed the border." Mira's body went cold. "Show yourself," she said aloud, though she knew she didn't have to speak for it to hear her. "We came seeking knowledge, not war." The voice answered, softer now, but filled with something ancient and endless. "Knowledge is what destroyed those before you. The border exists to protect creation from itself." Riel whispered. "Protect? From what?" Outside, the glowing horizon began to move. The light folded, twisted, and took shape. Slowly, a form emerged, a shape so massive it defied scale. It wasn't mechanical, yet not organic either. It was made of light and shadow, constantly shifting like a storm given life. It had no face, no true form, but its presence filled the entire view. The Guardian had arrived. Mira stepped closer to the window. "So you're what's keeping everyone out?" The voice resonated again, vibrating the walls. "I am what keeps balance. I am what remains when the universe forgets its limits. All who cross here vanish, not by punishment, but by necessity." Harper whispered. It's saying it destroys them to keep balance." Mira's jaw tightened. "Balance or fear?" The voice grew louder. "Fear is a human word. The universe does not fear. It endures." Riel pressed his hands against his temples. "It's inside my head. I can't focus, Mira ordered, steady and calm despite the storm building in her mind. Why does the universe need a border? Because beyond it lies the truth that ends everything. For a long moment, silence filled the ship. The words echoed inside their skulls. The truth that ends everything. What could that possibly mean? Then Mira felt something else, not words but memories. The Guardian wasn't just talking to her. It was showing her. Her mind filled with visions. Countless alien civilizations across the ages, all reaching this same edge. She saw their ships vanish, their people scream as they dissolved into light. She saw galaxies folding in on themselves like paper, time rewinding and collapsing. She saw the universe's birth and death looping endlessly, like a cycle trying to protect itself. She gasped and fell to her knees. The vision vanished. Harper rushed to her side. "Captain!" Mira breathed heavily. "It showed me everything. It's not killing them. It's keeping reality from falling apart. The border is a wall and to stop existence from collapsing." Riel shook his head. "Then why let us cross?" The voice answered before Mira could. "Because humans are different. You are not the first to try. But you are the first to endure." The lights on the ship brightened. The void outside shifted color, now glowing with soft gold and white currents of energy. Mira stood slowly. "Then tell me what's beyond this border. What's past you?" The Guardian was silent for a long time. Then softly it replied, "The place where universes are born. The source. The beginning of all things." The crew stared in awe. Harper muttered, "It's talking about the origin of creation." Riel's voice trembled. "Captain, if that's true, then we're standing at the birthplace of reality itself." The Guardian's form began to pulse, brighter and brighter. "You have seen enough. Turn back and live. Step forward and everything you know will cease." Mira looked at her crew. Each one stared at her with fear, confusion, and hope. She knew this was the decision that would define humanity's future. Her voice was steady, quiet, but resolute. "We didn't come this far to turn back." The Guardian's energy rippled violently, shaking the ship. "Do not test the boundary, human. You cannot survive the truth." Mira's eyes met the glowing form. "Maybe not. But humanity never stopped because something told us we couldn't." For a heartbeat, everything went still. Then the Guardian released a wave of energy. Not an attack, but a warning. The ship shuddered as its hull groaned and lights burst across the control room. Harper shouted, "Shields collapsing. Structural integrity at 60%. Mira gritted her teeth. "Divert all power to the core. If it wants to stop us, it'll have to destroy us first." The Guardian's voice echoed again, softer now, almost sorrowful. "Then so be it." Outside, the glowing horizon tore open like fabric. Behind it lay something so bright, so infinite that it couldn't be described. The human eye wasn't meant to see it. The Guardian lunged forward, surrounding the ship with tendrils of light and shadow. The Odyssey 7 shook violently as if caught in the hands of a god. The crew screamed. Systems failed. The Guardian's voice filled every corner of their minds. "You cannot go where reality was never meant to look." But through the chaos, Mira's voice rose above it all. "Humanity always looks." She slammed her hand down on the console. "Activate the reactor pulse." The ship's reactor glowed white-hot, energy building to impossible levels. A flash of light erupted from the core, pushing against the Guardian's hold. The shadow cracked. The horizon split wide open. And for one single blinding second, humanity saw what lay beyond the edge of the universe. Then everything went silent. The light vanished. The ship drifted again in stillness. The Guardian's presence was gone. Only Mira's voice broke the quiet. "We made it through," she whispered, eyes filled with both fear and wonder. "The edge has opened." Silence filled the void. The Odyssey 7 drifted forward, its engines dead but its lights softly glowing in the pale, endless brightness ahead. The Guardian was gone, vanished like a shadow at sunrise. Only the faint hum of the reactor and the heavy breathing of the crew broke the stillness. Captain Mira slowly opened her eyes. Her hands were still gripping the console, her knuckles white. "Report," she whispered, her voice hoarse. Harper's fingers danced across the flickering controls. "Systems damaged, but alive. Hull stable. Power at 20%. He paused, staring at the readings. "Captain, I don't know how to explain this, but the coordinates are gone. We're not in known space anymore." Mira straightened, staring out of the viewing window. What she saw made her breath catch. Before them stretched a place unlike anything in human records. The stars weren't stars. They pulsed like living hearts, each one surrounded by halos of color that shimmered and moved like waves on an ocean. The space between them wasn't black, but glowing with threads of light that flowed and twisted, forming rivers of energy. And at the center of it all hung something vast, an enormous sphere, golden and radiant, beating slowly like the heart of the cosmos. Riel whispered, "Is that a star?" Harper shook his head. "No, it's something else. It's not emitting light, it's creating it." For a long moment no one spoke. They just stared, trying to understand the impossible beauty of what lay before them. Then Mira said quietly, "We're looking at the source, the birthplace of everything." A soft hum filled the air, almost like distant singing. The sound didn't come through speakers, it came through their minds. The same kind of voice as the Guardians, but calmer, warmer, welcoming. "Welcome, children of time. You have come farther than any before you." Harper's face went pale. "It's another voice. Another presence." Mira took a deep breath. "Show yourself." The golden sphere pulsed once, and from its light emerged a shape. Humanoid, but made of pure energy, tall and radiant. It floated just beyond the window, glowing with every color at once. Its face shifted constantly, changing from human to alien and back again as if representing all of creation. "You crossed the boundary," it said. "You broke through the wall that holds reality together." "Do you know what that means?" Mira stepped forward, her voice steady. "It means humanity refuses to stop. We seek truth no matter the cost." The being's light dimmed slightly. "Truth is a burden few can carry. Those before you tried, and their worlds fell to dust. The Guardian was made to protect this place from curiosity." Riel frowned. "If this is the birthplace of everything, then why hide it? Why keep it secret?" The being's eyes, if they could be called that, glowed brighter. "Because knowledge of the source changes all who see it. Creation is delicate. Understanding it too deeply breaks it apart," Harper muttered. "So, we're not supposed to exist here." "No," the voice said gently. "But yet you do. That makes you dangerous and extraordinary." Mira's mind raced. "You said we've come farther than anyone. What happened to the others who tried?" The being lifted a hand and the light around them shifted. Suddenly images filled the space outside, echoes of entire civilizations. Ships from unknown races floating lifeless in the glow, planets collapsing into themselves, stars turning cold. They saw the source and tried to control it, the being said. They wanted to use its power to shape the universe in their image. "Creation cannot belong to one species," Mira stared, horrified. "And what about us? What happens now?" The light around them dimmed and the being's tone softened. "You are different. You came not to conquer but to understand. That is why you survived the Guardian. But understand this, human, you cannot return unchanged." Riel frowned. "What does that mean?" "When you cross the edge, your past begins to fade. The farther you go, the less real your old universe becomes. To reach this place, you left pieces of yourselves behind." Harper checked his console and froze.
"Captain."
"He's right. The data on our home coordinates, it's fading. Even the star charts are rewriting themselves. It's like Earth never existed." The crew fell silent. Mira looked at them one by one. The fear in their eyes said it all. If they stayed too long, they would forget who they were. The being seemed to sense her thoughts. "You may turn back. The Guardian will allow you passage now. But know this, if you go farther, you will become something else." Mira stepped closer to the window. "Something else?" "Beings of light, pure energy, part of the source itself. You will no longer be human." The idea hung in the air, heavy and frightening. Riel whispered, "Captain, maybe we should go back. We've seen enough." But Mira's eyes never left the glowing heart in the distance. "This is what we came for, Riel, the truth. The start of everything. How many lives have been lost trying to find this place?" Harper's voice trembled. "If we stay, we lose who we are." Mira turned slowly to her crew. "Or we become something greater." Silence. The golden being watched them, patient and still. It didn't push them, it waited for them to choose. Finally, Mira said, "What happens if we go back?" "You will remember nothing," the being said. "The memory of this place will fade from your world. You will tell stories of a border that none could cross. But your kind will try again. It is your nature," Mira smiled faintly. "That sounds like humanity." She looked at her crew. "You followed me this far. I won't order anyone to continue, but I'm going to see what lies beyond the source." Harper lowered his head.
"Captain."
You're asking us to give up being human? She nodded. Maybe that's how humanity truly evolves. Riel closed his eyes, then stood tall. Then I'm with you. One by one, the others nodded. The being's light flared brighter, almost as if smiling. So it shall be. The Odyssey 7 began to glow, its hull turning transparent. The energy from the source reached out, surrounding the ship, lifting it upward toward the golden sphere. The sound of singing grew louder, thousands of voices, millions rising together like the heartbeat of the universe. As they ascended, the crew felt their bodies grow lighter. Their fears, their memories, their pain, all fading away. Mira looked at her hands. They shimmered with light. Her voice was calm, peaceful. We've gone beyond the edge. The being's final words echoed softly. Welcome home, children of creation. And then the Odyssey 7 vanished into the heart of the source, leaving behind only a faint pulse of golden light, marking the place where humanity had crossed the final border. Far across the galaxy, where the stars still shone, a faint signal appeared on a distant receiver. A human scientist on Earth leaned closer to his console, frowning as he decoded the message. It read simply, "The edge has no end." Far across the galaxy, on a quiet morning at the Sol research station orbiting Mars, Dr. Elias Kerr sat staring at his monitor. For weeks he had been studying strange readings from deep space, tiny bursts of energy, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. Most of his colleagues dismissed it as background noise. But today something changed. The signal repeated again, stronger this time, clear and deliberate. He frowned, leaning closer. The pulse formed a pattern, one that almost looked human. His AI assistant, Vega, processed the data instantly. "Dr. Kerr," Vega said, her voice calm, "this transmission originates from outside the known galactic boundary." Elias blinked. "That's impossible. Nothing exists beyond the edge." "Correction," Vega replied. "Nothing was believed to exist." He hesitated, remembering the old stories, the lost ship Odyssey 7, vanished decades ago at the edge of human space. Everyone had assumed it was destroyed, consumed by the void that no one could explain. But this signal, it carried something familiar. "Run a linguistic filter," Elias ordered. "Compare it with pre-collapse communication logs." The AI processed for a few seconds, then replied, "Match found, 98% similarity. The signal originates from the Odyssey 7 mission code." Elias froze. His hands trembled. That can't be. They disappeared 40 years ago. The signal pulsed again. Then words formed on his screen, simple, soft, but unmistakably human. "We are here. The edge is open." Elias stared at the message, his heart racing. He activated the station-wide comms. "Get me Central Command, now." Within hours, the discovery spread across every human outpost, from the moon colonies to the far mining stations near Alpha Centauri. The Odyssey 7 had sent a message from beyond the border of existence. The impossible had happened. Humanity has always reacted in two ways, wonder and fear. Some believed it was hope, a sign that humanity had transcended the universe's limits. Others warned it was a trap, a cosmic echo sent to lure them into the same fate. But for Elias, it was something else entirely, a call. That night, as Mars rotated into its dark side, he watched the red horizon glow under distant starlight. "If they found something beyond the edge," he whispered, "then maybe we can too." Vega's light blinked. "Are you suggesting another expedition, Doctor?" "Yes," Elias said, eyes burning with determination. "We're going to follow their path." Months passed. The new expedition, Odyssey 12, was built in silence. Only a handful of people knew the real purpose. Officially, it was a long-range exploration vessel for deep space mapping. Unofficially, it was humanity's second attempt to breach the border that no one was supposed to cross. Elias led the mission. With him were 7 others, scientists, engineers, and explorers, all driven by the same unexplainable curiosity that had once led Captain Mira and her crew into the unknown. As the launch countdown began, the voice of mission control echoed in the cabin. "Odyssey 12, you are go for departure. Safe travels, and bring humanity's eyes farther than they've ever seen." The engines roared. The ship lifted from the Martian dock, cutting through the thin atmosphere before diving into the blackness of space. Weeks turned into months. The farther they traveled, the stranger space became. The stars ahead flickered like dying candles. Navigation systems grew unreliable. Time itself seemed to distort. Sometimes hours passed in seconds, sometimes minutes stretched into eternity. Elias kept a detailed log. Day 214, he recorded quietly, his voice calm but filled with awe. We are approaching the coordinates of the original Odyssey 7 disappearance. The instruments show energy fields not found anywhere else in the galaxy. The readings resemble life. The crew was exhausted but determined. Then one day they saw it, the same horizon Mira had described in her final log entry before the Odyssey 7 vanished. A wall of golden light. It pulsed softly, stretching endlessly across space like a curtain separating two realities. Lieutenant Hana whispered, "So it's real. The edge of the universe." Elias stared, mesmerized. "No, the beginning of another one." Before they could analyze, the ship's console lit up an incoming transmission. Static first, then a voice, faint but clear. "Odyssey 12. Welcome home." The crew froze. Elias's eyes widened. The voice was familiar, Captain Mira's. How is that possible?" Hana gasped. "She's been gone for decades." The voice continued, soft, calm, almost radiant. "You've crossed into the place where time has no meaning. We've been waiting." Elias tried to respond. "Mira, Captain Mira? What did you find beyond the edge?" There was a long pause, then the voice replied. "We found the source, and now it's awakening." Suddenly the golden light flared. Alarms screamed. The Odyssey 12 shook violently. Energy readings spiked off the charts. "Brace for impact!" Hana shouted. But there was no impact, only stillness. When Elias opened his eyes, the ship wasn't in space anymore. It floated in a vast golden expanse identical to Mira's last transmission. Streams of light danced like rivers through the air. Shapes moved within them, humanoid, glowing, calm. They weren't human anymore. They were the crew of the Odyssey 7. Mira appeared before him, radiant, her body made of light and energy. "You answered the call," she said with a smile. Elias stared in disbelief. "Captain Mira, you're alive?" "In a way," she said. "We crossed the edge and became part of it. The source changes you, but it doesn't destroy you. It transforms you." He looked around. "What is this place?" "The heart of creation," Mira replied. "The place where universes are born and where old ones fade away. We are the bridge now between what was and what will be." Elias stepped closer, overwhelmed. "Then the Guardian?" "Gone," she said softly. "It fulfilled its purpose. Now humanity has a choice, to stay limited or to evolve." Mira reached out her hand, light flowing from her fingertips. "Come, Elias, join us. The source waits for you too." He hesitated. Behind him, his crew watched silently. Ahead of him, infinity shone like a dawn that never ended. Then he smiled faintly. "Maybe this is what it means to go beyond." He took her hand. Light consumed him, warm and endless. His thoughts expanded, his body fading into the flow of creation itself. He felt every star, every atom, every life in the galaxy. He was human and more. For the first time, humanity wasn't just exploring the universe. It had become part of it. Centuries later, deep in the archives of the new human civilization, historians told a legend of two ships, the Odyssey 7 and Odyssey 12, that vanished beyond the edge of known space. They said the universe itself had turned back there, but humanity had not. And on quiet nights when scientists listened to the cosmic background, they could sometimes hear a faint hum, steady, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. The same heartbeat that once guided humanity beyond the stars. And in that rhythm, one final message repeated through eternity. The edge was never the end, it was the beginning.